Give you just a quick background on who I am. I've been in Indianapolis for a little over 20 years. I come from Valparaiso, Indiana. Okay, all right, it's hit or miss. But came here originally to be a paramedic at Wishart Hospital. I'm so aging myself. But through that, had learned so much and started to get involved with a bunch of causes here in Indianapolis and have continued that trend through board leadership, service work, all kinds of projects. And the motivation for me to be doing these things is, I'd love to say it's a completely selfless journey, but it's also my way of self-care, my way of feeling like I'm giving back what's been given to me. And I do find that I would never be good in politics. So here's how I can affect change without necessarily running for something. When I left the paramedic practice, I got into tech. And over that time, I've developed 4 technology platforms that have focused on different parts of philanthropy, whether that's donation management, volunteer management, nonprofit software, and then my latest venture, which is called Selflessly. We are Indiana's first certified B Corp and benefit corporation. And what our software does is we work with companies of all sizes to offer philanthropic benefits to their employees. So like donation matching, or volunteer time off, or grants, or food drives. All of that is done through our system, and then we can report on that, get people feeling good about what their company is doing, as we all start looking at brands that we know and love and are curious to see what they're doing to be a good villager as well. So we help distribute that. I've also on the nonprofit side have started 3 nonprofits over the years, some working on LGBTQ equality. The one that I'm most known for is for Open for Service, which was, if you remember, RFRA, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. We wanted to make sure that people, when they came into town for the Final Four, felt that there were places that were safe for them to be and that they would be accommodated for. So we developed a little sticker. Sometimes you see them, they're still on there. Man, whoever that vendor was, they'll survive a nuclear blast, it seems. But if you ever see "This business serves everyone," we started that with the goal of getting 100 restaurants to sign up, and we ended up being over 100,000 businesses worldwide. And so there's hope out there. So that was a good experience. But right now in philanthropy, a lot of the headlines are about very high net worth individuals, people that have expendable income to start their own foundations and their funds. And we love them. We love the work that they're doing. But I really want to focus on our everyday people like me that are a little short of $1 million endowment to be able to give, because we understand that it's not always feasible to be making donations. And while there's a place for that, there's just as much a place for volunteering and giving back where you can. We obviously know that when we give back, we feel better. We feel like we're making change, especially as the world is a little tough. This is a nice way to take care of yourself and feel like you're part of the solution. So I want to give a few tips on ways to give back. Obviously, if you are a financial contributor, you're more of the check writer, that's great. Make sure if you are employed someplace to see if they have a matching gift program. Maybe get that started. Maybe use Selflessly. Excuse me. Gosh, it's so weird. Personally, if you're looking at how to budget, it's always nice to maybe allocate a little bit of money, maybe monthly, to a different organization, or if you want to start a recurring one that can be feasible. And that's all I want to say about financial contributions, because I want to really drive home the impact of other ways to give back without having to contribute those personal funds. So another common question that we get from our users in the system is, I want to give back, but I don't know where or how. Everybody in here is talented. You have a special gift, whether that could be talking on the mic here, or I did a little bit of stalking of some of the people that registered. Some of you have incredible social media presence. Some of you are running companies, have your own business, are marketing geniuses, content geniuses. All of those traits that you have are things that nonprofits in your area need. Sometimes they're not good at necessarily asking for that help. So, posting about the nonprofit on your social media or a cause that you really care about is a huge help for a nonprofit. Or if you are a CPA or an attorney, or you're really good at building things, those are great traits. Use those skills in a way that can also help a nonprofit or a charity here in town. And you don't even have to learn anything. And in some cases, volunteering is also a way for you to expand your skill set, learn more things. If you're looking at maybe changing careers in the future, what a great way to give back and then also be expanding your skill set from that experience. I also want to tell you that we are a part of an organization called the Independent Sector, and so we analyze what the financial impact of an hour of volunteer time is, and that's about $50. So if you're looking at what a financial impact of volunteering can be, on average, it's about $50. So if you want to have that kind of financial overlay. And then, I don't know about you, but I was born in 1981, and one of the most important pieces of clothing I ever had was my San Jose Sharks starter jacket. I was not a hockey person. I just liked the colors. Also, probably should have been a precursor to my homosexuality, but hindsight's always 20/20. But I don't need that jacket anymore. It doesn't fit. So as you're looking at your closet, as you're looking at things that are in your home, what are some things that could be donated to a Goodwill or a local organization that could use that jacket or that piece of furniture? Or like the food project, if maybe we have some food that's non-perishable, how can we drop that off as well? So these are some really big impact things. It may not sound like it at first thought, but we really want to take some time, for 2026. What can I be doing monthly? What can I be doing, this summer that could make a big impact and get me connected? And then finally, I wanted to mention, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't at least say something. Obviously, it's tough out there. We're having some real challenges in the world, and it's frustrating. Definitely, I am a big fan of isolating and shutting down, but through giving back has gotten me out, doing things, meeting new people, and has been very healthy. But we know that things have been going on that have been really difficult in Minnesota, challenging to watch, things that make us nervous about what might happen here and what that looks like. So I do want to mention some ways to get involved with what's going on in this situation and make sure that you're doing something that's healthy for you and safe for you. So things that are making a big difference up there, I had spent some time talking to some organizations to find out what we can be doing. So donating to legal defense funds for detained community members has been very helpful. Volunteering as a rapid responder or legal observer, please be careful, please be safe, do what you feel comfortable with. But as we're thinking about what may be coming here, know your rights training. If you can attend one or find some information online, share with others so that you understand what is available to you. And then also accompaniment programs. So some organizations, and I think there are some here, they need volunteers to accompany people to their check-ins. Those are some ways that you can get involved. Throwing money to Minneapolis has certainly helped from here, but as we're thinking about if something were to happen in this area, there's some ways that you can get involved and be a part of it without necessarily being on the front lines, and that's just as valued. So with that, I want hopefully have inspired you to take inventory of that closet, or thinking about that open Saturday, what you can be doing, or if you want to write a check or Venmo your favorite nonprofit, please do so. Please take that time in 2026 to uplift your village, whether that's the community that's in this room, or Indianapolis or whatever that village looks like. You're needed now more than ever. And to Ryan's point, we can't rely on the government to take care of everything. And there are some great organizations here that are doing great things that are supplementing where maybe we're missing some things in government. So with that, I would like to invite up the panelists, Jourdan Ivory and Ashleigh Newbold. Come on up. Really quick, if you wouldn't mind, starting with you, Jourdan, if you could tell these lovely people who you are, what you do.
Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Okay, hold on. We're not awake yet. Good morning, everyone. How we doing? There we go. Okay, let's wake up. Okay, get those creative juices flowing. I'm Jourdan Ivory. I run operations at Tinker Street Restaurant. Blessed to be there. James Beard nominated as of last week as well. There's several other James Beard semifinalist nominees in the building as well too, so let's clap for them too. Jared May, Tom Main, Chef Yusuf Budarin. Basically, I just run operations day to day behind the scenes at Tinker Street in support of all things that we're doing here in the community, as well as sitting on a couple nonprofit boards, the Indiana Black Professionals, as well as the Epicurean Board as well too. So happy to be here to talk about showing up.
Hi, everyone. Ashleigh Newbold. I am at Indiana Sports Corp. I'm our Vice President of Engagement. I focus a lot on community partnerships, our volunteer strategy, our impact initiatives, and just getting people involved with our mission in a variety of ways. I also spend my time kind of out in the community in a lot of ways just through the work, but some things that I'm specifically focused on is being a member of the Indy Hub board. Yeah, shout out to Greg Stowers in the back there. But yeah, Indy Hub's given me a lot over the years. I was involved in their Involved Planning Committee first and then joined the board, but that's my way of kind of giving back to something that really helped me start my career here in Indianapolis. And then I also am a big supporter of women in the sports industry and women in sports in general. I'm wearing my swag today from Together. But I really think it's important for women in the industry that I work in to feel seen. There's a lot of women who paved the way, so I could sit at the table with ease, honestly. And so I like to give back to them and make sure that other women who enter the industry really feel supported, and that we can also have families and work in this industry and not feel kind of binded by that. So I started a nonprofit with some of my fellow Indiana Sports Corp ladies. It is Women in Sports and Events Indianapolis chapter. It's a national organization, and we started that chapter back in 2023. So been going strong. We have over 400 members now. Just really excited to engage the women in the sports community, allow us to connect and support one another. So yeah, still work on the day-to-day support of that.
Awesome. They're so cool. Okay, so I want to dive a little bit deeper into what you've been talking about. So, Jourdan, with Tinker Street, you're not a big chain restaurant, but you're doing incredible stuff given the size that you are. So can you expand a little bit on what Tinker Street does in the community and what you do kind of that's special?
Absolutely. I should probably start out with I'm from Dayton, Ohio, so I'm a Naptown transplant. Told my wife I'd never move to Indianapolis. Worked here around the Super Bowl time and really did not enjoy what I saw in regards to the respect to the houseless situation. I was staying right next to the U-Haul facility on Illinois and was greeted by a team of about 10 people every morning on my walk to CVS and White Castle. And just really didn't like the day that I woke up to go to the last meeting and nobody was out there. So being in Cincinnati, Ohio, and having the same situation, I just felt like Indiana wasn't for me. Love will make you do crazy things, y'all, okay? So I think it's important to say that I was working in media out in New York before moving to Indy, telling my wife, my now wife, my girlfriend at the time, I was never moving here. And when love makes you do crazy things, you're willing to do almost anything. And so I'm a big believer in God, so I prayed, what will my next step be? Tom Main, James Beard nominee for Outstanding Restaurateur, entered my life. I was encouraged to to apply to Tinker Street, became a host. So if you knew me at the start of Tinker Street, I was taking you to your table with the menus, doing my best to fit in with the Gen Z crowd, as I'm pushing 40, okay? And when I started there at Tinker Street, I had no gray hair. So I think for me, what I saw at Tinker was that it became, for me, more than a job. I saw a career. And a career that I wanted, because I've done a million things. I've toured with platinum artists, run a family business. I come from a place where community is important, but enjoying what you do every day is the biggest part. And so Tinker Street allowed me to come up and be my whole self. So becoming host all the way to running operations, it's a funny thing because I get to say a lot of people that were my peers and my boss, AKA Tyler Short, our executive chef, is now they work with me. I was accepted widely because I think that I was able to create the activation of what we were trying to do in community. Tom Main explained to me that I was rare and that he had been waiting for me for over 30 years to enter this business. And I think what he saw in me that I didn't see in myself is that I just needed someone to trust in me to go out in the community and be that ambassador. And so what I've been able to do at Tinker Street is utilize the entire toolbox that I have, but also the entire resources that we have at Tinker Street to push the mission and be in alignment with what we're trying to do. And that has changed the world. And so through seasonal ingredients, local involvement, we're able to show up. But I think for me, you all, it was that I was new to this community, and really I only knew a few people here. I had a softball team. I knew Kelly of the Urban League. If you know Kelly, raise your hand. Kelly, raise your hand too, okay? And she was an advocate for me moving here, and just went on and on about how special my wife was. My wife works in medicine here, Dr. Jourdan Ivory, in surgery, and being a black woman in surgery is extremely hard. And so what we try to do collectively is to show up. And so knowing that your presence is a present, and I'm glad Josh quantified that for me today, okay, because I'm spending a lot of money, okay, as well. But I think identifying that as $50 an hour, being a community partner is very important regardless of the cost or quantification. So through Tinker Street, we utilize gift cards, becoming a social hub, being a place where you can convene, because without big business, where does big business go to eat, to celebrate, to have an experience? We want to be that, right? But also I want you to know that there's an awesome, exciting face behind the scenes, and a lot of times people don't know what we look like until you come in, and a lot of people have not come in. So being out in the community, having a presence, is just about being important to others, but also showing up as your whole self. So feeding the community, being able to provide for others, and then lifting as you are a part of something. Community Food Box Project is near and dear to me. So being able to say your name and other names in rooms that they're not in and say that they should be a part of, I think is important. So having our Community Food Box actually here is awesome, but what really goes through my mind is who's looking for that food box while it's here with us today too.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Ashleigh, I am super excited to start volunteering with Indy Sports Corp personally, and we've gotten to know each other over the last year and have really enjoyed our time. One of the things, so I'll just speak personally, that motivated me is I'm a big fan of sports ball. I love all of it.
Yay, sports.
Yay, sports. But if you live in Indianapolis, you've seen all these incredible events that Indy Sports Corp has put on. And while I wouldn't say that I follow all of the sports ball matches, sets, and...
Secret. Me neither.
Okay.
Don't
But
tell anybody.
what that does bring to our community is awesome. And the opportunities as a volunteer to be able to experience new things and be involved in some of these crazy, insane events in a good way is super appealing. You're the keeper of all of these volunteers across all of these events. How do you do it? How does this happen?
Yeah, no, I think that's A really great question, a big question, and I have to give a shout out to my team at Indiana Sports Corp. Kelly McNulty is our stakeholder engagement manager and really leads on the day-to-day, making really meaningful volunteer experiences. But I think that the big thing that gets a little bit misunderstood about our mission is, kind of in the name of it. Indiana Sports Corp doesn't scream nonprofit. It screams that we're hosting large-scale sporting events, and that's super glamorous. It's a really cool job. Like, don't get me wrong. It's amazing. But why we're doing it is much more community-building focus. And so I want to make sure that the audience definitely, you guys understand that walking away today, that it is focused on bringing people together. And I love this quote from Nelson Mandela. It's something that I think about daily when we're doing the work in the community, but sports has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language they understand, and sport can create hope where there was once only despair. So bringing people together from a lot of different backgrounds, experiences, and really the event isn't necessarily the goal for us. It's a means to an end. It's about the economic development. So definitely, the cranes in the air, the heads in beds, the people eating in our restaurants, the people shopping locally when they're here, that's part of it. But it's the community impact that I think means a lot to our team. We want to align with community initiatives that matter. So when these big sporting events come to town, we have this giant platform that really allows us to make a difference. And beyond that weekend, it doesn't have to be, just the 3 days that the Final Four is in town. It's what's happening after that that's really supporting the community in the long term. And then we want our volunteers to understand that impact. So while you might be doing, a shift somewhere within our fan experiences, I want to connect you to other initiatives that we have going on outside of that and why that work really matters. And there's ways to connect to that work pretty directly too. So we spend a lot of time community listening. We have committees, local organizing committees made up of different experts in these spaces. I am not an expert in education. I'm not an expert in health and wellness. I'm not an expert in anything really. I just know a lot of great people in this community, and I want to continue to get to know them. I want our staff to know them. But during the U.S. Olympic swimming trials, a couple of examples here, we were able to train 50,000 Hoosiers on how to be water safe. Swimming is the only sport that can save your life. I think that's the one initiative that I felt so deeply about, because sports saving lives is not something we get to talk about often, but this was really impactful for our state, and it continues to be. We were able to bid on the 2028 U.S. Olympic swimming trials, so they're coming back. Yeah. So there's going to be more opportunities to get involved with that and that initiative and the other initiatives surrounding it. But we've continued that program with Swim and Safety. Lily is on board as a sponsor of that. So throughout our community, we're going to be launching a grant program later this year that allows different organizations to submit for grants so they can subsidize those swim lessons for people across the state that need them. And that's multi-generational. We're trying to impact the whole family with our initiatives. And then with the Final Four, we're investing $200,000 into arts and culture initiatives. So you'll see those throughout downtown through our activations. Swish, it's visual, performance, culinary artist being featured throughout that event. And then Read to the Final Four right now, we have over 20,000 third graders across the state competing in a bracketed challenge, reading minutes. We're incentivizing them with great opportunities around the Final Four to actually come that weekend, sending them prizes. It's a way for us to inspire. Sports is not going to solve the literacy crisis that we have. Educators are, the administrators are, and the people that are supporting them, but we want to be at the table to support them. So how can we do that best? So we're continuing that with our Team Up for Literacy, where we're bringing together those educators, community organizations, and our sports partners to try and continue that impact. We'll host the 28 Women's Final Four and the 29 Men's Final Four. So literacy will continue to be a focus for us and our partners. And then we are currently refurbishing the Christian Park Family Center over off of English Avenue. working with their staff, they do incredible work. It includes a basketball court restoration, but we're doing the other community spaces too, because all of their programming is super meaningful. And what they do can only be supported by having spaces that work for their community and work for them. So our goal is just to make things easier. They're already pouring so much love into the space, and we just want to support them in that. So we're working with the NCAA to make that happen here in the next few months. So it's just really great to be able to give back in those ways and to connect with community, and we need volunteers, committee members to help drive the influence at the table of what is actually needed in the community, so we're not assuming. So we just want to hear from you and understand how we can support through sports.
Thank you. So these two incredible people, I'm interested to know about, since you are working where you're serving other people and giving back, personally, what are you doing, and how do you look at all the things that you could be involved in, knowing that you have families, you have all these responsibilities? What drives you to take that extra time to do something, and what are some examples of things that you're doing outside of your jobs here in the community that can maybe activate some people as well?
This is going to sound cliche, but I think the biggest thing is getting involved. And I think sometimes that seems very large to us. One of the big things that I think when I say that and saying that it's cliche is that sometimes it seems too large for what you've decided for yourself. Something that I had a conversation just with Sierra of the Community Food Box Project is how much a $5 reoccurring donation goes to a nonprofit organization when they know that they can count on those dollars coming. At Tinker, we do a lot of gift card donation, as you saw today, in regards to just bringing and allowing places to leverage what is great food and great community and great impact to create more opportunity and to elevate the experience. For myself, I think it is, again, showing up as your whole self. I think being a good villager and having a good village is being that good villager. So as Josh said earlier, like leveraging all of your talents, okay? And being honest with yourself about what you're willing to do. I met Patrick Armstrong and many other podcasters here in the city through very organic ways. He doesn't know this, but 2 nights ago when we sponsored his community dinner, I overheard him explaining how well the partnership has been with me as Jourdan Ivory and the ways that I have shown up. I had to go to the back because I teared up. We were at draft. Because it's crazy when you don't hear the stories that are talked about you, okay? And sometimes you can tell yourself that people are saying all the bad things. Oh my gosh, we didn't reset that silverware. Oh man, I was supposed to call Tiffany Hansen back about this event. Okay, all the different things that you think about, okay? Sometimes it makes you feel like you're not doing enough. Doing something is doing enough. I come from a home where when you speak, you're spoken to, so that's why when I said good morning and I didn't get everybody, I said it back again, okay? I've been told that that's the callback language is kind of going away, and I think that the biggest part is about also feeling involved and intentional in the rooms that you're in. Something that you know about me and something that I'll shout out Patrick again that he said to me just in this doorway today is, they were talking about how large the crowd is here today, and he patted me on the back and he said, they're showing up for you. And as I joke and push it off in a humble sense, he then followed it up and said, it's because you show up for everybody else. And I think for me, you all, that is the biggest impact, that I think that if you're looking for a place to start, show up. How can you show up? And some of you may say, hey, I'm scared to talk to somebody, or I could never get in front of this room and do what you're doing. That food box sits outside of our restaurant 24/7. We restock it 7 days a week, and we recalibrate about it probably once a month about what should be in there, what we should be supporting to be in there as Tinker, and what kind of frequency we've seen. So many times people come to that food box and they don't look around to see who's there, who's watching them put that food in there, and those kinds of things. That is being a good villager, okay? And if you're doing it for performance as well, that's being a good villager too. I had the conversation with Ryan Hunley just at the start of this too, that haters are fans. That came from his middle school child as well, which is really cool. And I think that in this day and age, it's that you have to embrace everyone and everything with intentionality and being honest about what it is that you are bringing to the table. But as Ashleigh said, it's about being at the table. I pride myself on saying yes more than ever saying no, and finding a maybe in between there before I have to get to the no. Usually my yes and it comes quickly, but if there is a quick no, I try to say, how can we do this better? Or here is what I'm able to do. And I think something that I work with Chef Yusuf Boudarine on is let's offer what we have, and if it is not enough, then let's try our best again, okay? Because all you can give is what you have, and sometimes that seems like you need to be giving more. You need to be doing more. Do something. That is enough. And I think that as we've been interviewed probably over 38 times, going from Indie Monthly to USA Today about the James Beard nomination, I think the biggest thing that I said to my team a year ago before all things came out for last year's semifinalist is that when we are nominated, I want us to feel proud. I want us to feel that it was deserved, and that is something that we can stand on. And I think the integrity of being a good villager is the biggest thing. And sometimes that's saying, hey, I messed up, or hey, I didn't make it because. But checking in, being intentional, I think is the biggest way. Showing up, being your whole self, and being intentionally there is the biggest way. And then finding spaces where you can convene safely, I think is it too. And don't be afraid to ask how you can help. Have you asked the person today if you can help? How can you help them? What they're in need of? And I think even in the room, and I'll bring it back to yet again something today, Ashleigh and I were in the green room just chatting before this, and she asked me how I was. We went on for a good 3.5 minutes through dialogue, and then I had to come back because I never asked Ashleigh how she was. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is have you asked someone else how they're doing or how you can show up for them today? And hey, sometimes that's enough. So those are the ways that I think we're showing up, Josh, and I think that's the way that I think that, you know, I can show up better and everyone else can too.
I like that. Thank you. Same question. So outside of all that you're doing with Indy Sports Corp, how do you personally give back, and what do you think about when allocating the time and the energy to do so?
That's a really tough question for me, I feel like. Jourdan probably feels this too, and I'm sure several of you do in this room. It's not a typical 9-to-5 job. Like, I'm really, really fortunate that my personal passions align professionally, where giving back to the community has been at my core since I think I discovered it when I was in high school, and I didn't know I could make a career out of it, so I thought I was gonna be like a physical therapist or something, but I wasn't suited for that. Certainly needed just like, you know, I wanted to feel a lot of variety in my day, and I certainly have that now. And now that I've found this, and I actually have to give a lot of credit to Sarah Meyer on our team. I was doing event operations at Indiana Sports Corp for the first 5 years, and I was good at it. I loved it. I just felt like there's more, right? There's more that I could be doing. I was really drawn towards more of the relationship building in the community, being involved with community partners, understanding where they were at, what their goals were, how do we connect it to what we're doing in a really strategic way. And she was like, well, let's do more of that. And we found a way to do it. And so I think, me giving back, yes, I found some other things to do outside of my day-to-day. So Habitat for Humanity Women Build, each year, two good friends of mine, Ashleigh Miser, Jenny Cash, put together a team. And it's, a group full of badass women that I really admire and inspire me every day. We come together and, help build a Habitat house in the summer. And so that day for me is really a moment of building community and being with people who inspire me to do more. But that's just one day. So then there's other opportunities where I think you can get involved where it is a little bit more consistent. There might be an element of building trust, or you have to go through some sort of training, but some organizations that, in the future I'd love to get involved with, but I'm gonna share them today with you all. But Indy Reads, they have community classrooms you can volunteer in. Again, takes a little bit of training and you're doing it consistently, but just a great opportunity to show up more regularly than just kind of the one day. The Immigrant Welcome Center, they have these English language learners, and you can go and support them as well. We've been meeting with both of these partners pretty regularly and support them in other ways, but if you wanna, I'm thinking about how do I give back personally in the future, these are organizations that I feel really passionately about, and I would love to allocate the time to do so at some point. And then the skills and interest-based support, I think, is such a key way to give back in this community. What things are you really good at? And Josh alluded to it at the beginning of his talk. And so this is my shameless plug for Indiana Sports Corp coming your way. We do have local organizing committees that put on these events. We're a staff of 35. We focus on multiple events throughout the year. If you go to other cities, they have maybe 20 people fully dedicated to the Final Four for 2 years. That's all they're doing. So they don't bring in community volunteers to help them plan and execute. We bring in, right now I think our Final Four committee is around 300 people to help us plan all of these initiatives around the Final Four. So you can have a seat at the table to influence decision-making, to help us align our strategic priorities with community needs and actually get active. It's volunteer work, but it's rewarding, it's meaningful, and we try to really create a great experience when you get involved with us. So I think that's another way that you can lend your support to other nonprofits too, who are looking for that type of, day-to-day help and support along the way. And then the other option is group volunteerism. I mentioned the Habitat for Humanity Build Day that, I do, but right now my team is at Junior Achievement BizTown. We align a day of service a couple times a year with our Indiana Sports Corp staff, and they are supporting some elementary school kids on what it's like to be a good community member. And so I think that those are some really great opportunities to get involved here in our own community, but like the different levels. And I think no matter how you decide to get involved, whether you need to do that day of because you have other things going on in your life and that's what you can give at that moment, or more consistent, or a 2-year role on a committee, or organizing a group, any of those ways are valuable and are worth the time in doing so. So make it work for you, make something sustainable, make it meaningful for you.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. So one of the things I noticed, we had a lot of people that stood up about you want to get involved, maybe not sure where to land or what organizations are out there. So we wanted to open the rest of the time for Q&A. These two have a million ideas, and we can probably figure out some stuff for you. But if you have any questions, now would be a great time. We'd love to answer some questions, maybe help you find something. Anybody? Yes. So the question was, practically speaking, how do you fit all that you're doing into your weekly schedule?
I have to, sorry, it's a really good question, and I don't know that I have that figured out exactly. I think we do the best that we can. I've had to shift the mindset to like work-life integration. I have an employer that's really supportive of me taking the time to go do these things. It's also kind of part of my job, so I'm lucky in that sense. But besides that, I have to take things as, what do I have to get done that day? What's the, the task that I need to get done? And I do have to take it day to day. It feels, when you're working and the work that I do, it feels like everything's kind of on fire all at the same time, and I hope that some people kind of get that. And so you're always like, what's the big priority? And sometimes those things need to, if you can make it wait so you can go do something good, or you focus on the things that do good in our community, I think that's where it's more rewarding for me. But yeah, it's prioritization and making hard decisions probably, but day to day, one task at a time is kind of how I focus.
Practically speaking, I think practically the restaurant is open 7 days a week, every day at 5 o'clock. And everyone sees the time that service starts, but for operations, Tom and I sometimes are on the phone as early as 8 o'clock in the morning, and depending on what fire is to be put out first, could be earlier, but my team starts every day around 10 o'clock, 10:30, getting things prepped for the day. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and a lot of it has nothing to do with what's happening inside the four walls of the restaurant and more about the business. And I think a lot of times we focus on food as the business. It is truly just the vehicle. And so balancing it in a practical way, getting ready to celebrate 1 year of marriage, and she told me yesterday she's gonna keep me. We can clap for that,
that's
okay? We
awesome.
can clap for that. Don't know how I got her, God bless her, I love her to death. But also I think that it is what Ashleigh said, I have a supportive employer, but also I have a work environment that I love, okay? I love working at Tinker. I've worked in a multitude of different jobs, careers, gap fillers, freelance positions, hobbies, side quests, whatever you want to call them, and they've all been phenomenal. Tinker Street takes almost all of my time, and I talk about it all the time because I love it. It fully aligns with me and my mission, so when I have to get up at 7 a.m. after working until almost midnight last night, it's worth it. To be able to talk and spread the message. I come from a family of pastors. It feels like I'm spreading the gospel, and I get to do the good. My background is in PR communications, and a lot of it, as I was sharing with Ashleigh, was in risk PR. So being on the mic and talking about good is exciting for me. Being able to go to work and feed people every day is exciting to me. Every day at Tinker Street, we feed the entire staff, and anybody who wants to show up, now please don't show up without letting me know, okay, at 4 o'clock every day for something we call family meal, okay? And when I started at Tinker Street, I was freelancing, 1099ing with a lot of people, and as you know, when you invoice someone, they don't pay it right away. So as my wife is planning what I thought was a 100-person wedding to a 300-person wedding, I was really counting on that host check at Tinker Street. And so I think through that, I didn't know if I should eat lunch today or if I should just wait till dinner. And working at Tinker Street, being fed every day at 4 o'clock, sometimes better food than what's on the menu, if not just as good, it really changed my life. So working in a place that makes you feel supportive, showing up for people that you care about, feeling that you're doing good every day, I feel like I have a cape on constantly. And so being able to wake up, do the good, and being able to support my family in that same way is phenomenal. So practically speaking, I do it all because I love it, and I'm honest, and the people that are here in this room will say, well, I thought you were coming last night. It's like, brother, I just went home and died, just crashed out. And I think that that is also the blessing too, is that if you do what you say you're gonna do, people trust when you say that you can.
I'll also just add a quick thing that I've been trying to figure out for 2026 is how can I just be more intentional in some of my decision making. So like, where am I spending my dollars? And that could be a community give back without even really like changing or adding something to the schedule or the list of things to do. Also, like, how do I inspire others around me to be philanthropic? My 4-year-old, like, what does that look like? So those are things I'm thinking about. But I think just making those decisions differently can also make a huge impact, and you don't have to rearrange your life in order to do so.